Knowing you has changed me. Because you cared, I cared. I cared about you. I cared about Sam, I cared about Jack. But I cared about the whole world. Because of you, I love you.
Hi, welcome back to the podcast. My name is Maegan.
My name's Lily.
And today PDF stands for Fuck Jensen Ackles. Before we explain why, Lily, what have you been up to this week?
We uploaded our first podcast
Woo!
yesterday. It got 2 views, and it was probably us.
Probably. That's so sad.
That's really
shout out to my friends. They also probably listened to it. So maybe, because I didn't actually listen to it.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
I mean, we talked during it.
Yeah. So it's probably one of those two, but woo-woo!
Good. I've just been working. Nothing special has happened at all. What about you?
Well, I was a guest star on another podcast, a podcast called Foxo Erotica, I think. And he was like, hey, you should be on it because we're siblings and it's fun. And I said, okay. And he was like, one of the things about the podcast is you should be drunk when you're on it. And I said, okay. And you know how, like, sometimes it's hard for me to get drunk?
Yeah.
It was absolutely not hard for me to get drunk for some reason when we recorded that.
Hard for you to get drunk, like, because I've noticed you have a hard time drinking sometimes.
Yeah.
Or
it's more of a, I haven't been drinking very long. Just because I haven't really had the interest until about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So, first of all, I'm terrible at shots, so I don't take the fast and easy way to get drunk. Second of all, my intolerance level is still kind of, like, weird. So there was one time I took, like, 3 shots, and I was, like, drunk. But then the last time I hung out with Lily, I took 6 shots and didn't feel anything. And granted, that was more spread out, and I was eating, but I was like, the fuck?
What was it? Like vodka?
No, it was Malibu.
Oh.
And then I drank a bottle of wine. Not like a full bottle, like a mini bottle of wine.
Okay. I drink full bottles of wine.
Yeah. My biggest... I probably would have. But, like, the weird thing about that, too, is I sober really fast.
Oh, that's nice.
Unless I'm, like, hammered. I've been hammered once, and it was a terrible experience. But I got drunk really fast, and then I think I sobered within, like, 3 hours. But by that point, my brothers were drunk, which was funny for me. So drink responsibly.
Drink responsibly. Okay, guys.
And listen to that podcast.
Oh, yeah, listen to it. This one, we actually have a topic. We're going to be talking about the Supernatural finale.
Yes.
So this happened, like 2 weeks ago. And I didn't watch it until about a week ago.
Yeah, I think it was about that.
Feelings. And so, what's your background for Supernatural? I know you're not a fan of it, but have you seen a lot of it? What?
I saw the first half of the first season.
Fair. You probably
That's about it.
In Supernatural. So
I did grow up on Tumblr though during the Super Hulock Renaissance. Yeah. I was only really a fan of Doctor Who, and I'm not a fan of Doctor Who anymore. But you know, back in like middle school, I was woo ha ha.
Yeah, they were the great trio. The super, what is it? Super
Hulock. So Supernatural, Doctor Who, Sherlock. So like I was aware of it. I kind of knew about things, like I knew about Destiel. I know that Dean goes to hell like 50 times.
Oh yes.
I know that like it was my older brother watched some of it and he said like the first 4 seasons are good and then the rest of it just kind of went off the rails.
It was only supposed to have 5 seasons, but then they realized fans really loved it. And then they continued. So most after season 5 is kind of irrelevant, to be honest, because it's just them trying to please their fans.
Can you tell myself in the audience a little bit about Supernatural? Kind of catch us up if, like me, we don't really know what's going on.
So I've been a fan for over a decade. Back then it was like I was really late to the game because it was like season 7 or something. But now it's 15 seasons.
It just went on forever.
So I was a really big fan of it until I graduated high school, and then I stopped watching it. But I did rewatch the first 5 seasons a few times since then, because that's the good seasons. The first 5 seasons are basically just, there's the villain in each episode and you have to fight them and kill them. And then after that, it gets to more fandom things and bigger plots that take a whole season. It's very messy. Can't think of an exact example, but maybe the Book of the Damned or something. They'll be trying to find it for 7 to 17 episodes. They'll be trying to just solve this one thing out of the many things they have to do to defeat this villain. And then they'll find the book, and then 2 episodes later they'll defeat the villain, and it's that was such a slow 17 episodes and then a rush 2 episodes at the end. It's pretty much that. The whole season, it's miserable, I'm not gonna lie. The people that watch Supernatural get excited for every episode are mostly people that have surrounded themselves into the fandom and have moments they really like the characters and they want Destiel to happen.
All right, explain the characters.
Okay.
Or at least the main players in the game.
So the main 3 players in this that I'm going to talk about today. Sam Winchester, the little brother.
Yes, nerd
Dean
college
Winchester.
boy.
He started in college, yes. And then he left college. Irrelevant for this whole, finale thing. Dean, he's a hunter. And then Castiel, who appears in, I believe, season 4 or 5. I think season 4.
I don't think I even knew his real name. I was just he's part of Destiel.
Yeah.
I was and he's an angel.
EL part of it.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he's an angel. So he ends up becoming their 3rd. And in many cases, he was so important to the plot. This is the first character in 5 seasons that fans actually accepted and liked. The first character that we wanted to be in every episode, and we wanted to be a part of the Dean and Sam duo. And he did become part of it.
Woo!
So now it's from season 5 to season 15, it's 3 boys instead of 2. Dean, Sam, and Castiel.
That is a lot of seasons.
A lot of repetitive, boring seasons. Yes. So I first want to shout out, a lot of this information I got today is from Sarah Z on YouTube.
Thank you.
She does very deep analysis of fandom culture, which is really all that we're going to be talking about today.
Coolio.
Because to say that fans were pissed is an understatement.
Wait, can I kind of give you what I know about what happened with the finale first?
Yes. Megan will tell us a little summary from the outside view of what she has heard.
All right, so if you don't know about this and you're worried about spoilers. So.
Don't. Spoilers.
Yeah. I have a Tumblr, even though it is 2020. I
heard that this made the resurgence of Tumblr come back.
Oh no, get excited. It is, because to me, I'm not a Supernatural fan, so how this played out is absolutely hilarious. I think it's the funniest shit in the world. So I was just scrolling on my Tumblr one day, and Destiel was one of the most recommended trends. They were trending, and I was like, what? It's 2020! So I click on it, and they're like, yeah, I can't believe Destiel is canon, and Putin is retiring. And I was like, what? So I that went down another rabbit hole where apparently there was this rumor going around that Putin was retiring. So during the time that Destiel was becoming canon, apparently, there was also, on the same day, there was a rumor that Putin was stepping down from his presidency. And also, that was when we were in that week of flux during the election season, where, we didn't know who was going to be president because people were still counting votes. So, everyone was like, this is the funniest thing ever. And just also going into it and looking at zeroing in on Destiel. They're like, yeah, Destiel became canon. Castiel confessed to Dean, and then he went to super hell for it, which, as a non-supernatural fan, I was like, what the fuck is super hell? It's just, you're gay, so you're going to the worst hell of all, even though you did all of this to protect the earth and you're an angel. Like, that's the worst thing you can do.
Did you look into it a little bit more?
No.
Okay, I'll explain it to you.
Great. So basically, bottom line, what I knew about this was that because Destiel became canon, Putin could finally rest easy and decided to step down. I'm sure something else happened. It was just really funny to exist during for me.
Yeah, that's 2020 for you.
All right, so tell me your view and fans' views.
So people started shipping Dean and Cass together from the beginning. And there's a lot of moments where Dean in the show for 15 seasons got hinted at that he was bi. And at first it was quite a stretch. And some of these reasons I'm going to give you seem like quite a stretch. Like this kind of a funny thing, like, oh, he's gay. That's so funny. It's 2004. Like that's something that people will laugh at.
Unfortunately.
But it turned into something else once that became not very acceptable. And he was still doing it, but it wasn't in a joking matter. So some of these examples is Dean would wink at men in bars and stuff like that. He also would make references to gay bars.
Did he wear flannel a lot?
He always wears flannel. What do you mean? Is that
is a gay thing. I don't know if people are aware of it, but wearing flannel and wearing lots of denim is a gay thing.
Yes, then yes, he does do those things every episode. That's all he wears, denim and flannel.
Stereotypical things about the plaid and the denim, but I am a bisexual. I am bisexual, yes. So I know.
In one instance, there was a guy, like they got trapped in a TV show, and it shows Dean fangirling and getting weak in the knees over Dr. Sexy MD, who is a male.
Yes.
And a little fun side note for that, I figured out that the actor that played Dr. Sexy MD, which Dean clearly had a crush on, also is in a series called Blonde. And his actor, the actor that plays McDreamy and a character in the series, his character in the series is named Cass.
That is a very weak connection. It's just a coincidence.
It's definitely coincidence. Another example, Sam asks Dean if he's strictly into dick once. So there was a lot of hints that Dean was bisexual, and these hints, like, Sam would never get these moments that he was clearly straight. People really shipped Cass and Dean. So we have a moment in, I think, 2018, where Jensen Ackles was at I believe, a Comic-Con.
Is this the video you sent me?
This is the video I sent you. So people are pretty mad about Jensen Ackles because he appears to be homophobic. Misha Collins, who plays Castiel, is very in favor of Destiel. He makes jokes to the fans about Destiel. He is so in favor of it. But Jensen is not. Is clearly not. So in this video, I'll try to play a little bit of it in the audio.
Okay, why don't we start over here?
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say, I love the character becoming more comfortable with himself each season. I'm bisexual, and I've noticed some possible subtext that he
I'm thoroughly confused. Really? The first question?
Thanks for your shoulder.
You know what I said about happy to be on the East Coast? I'm kidding. Don't ruin it for everybody now.
I do not mean it as disrespectful at all. Thank you, though.
No, I still don't know what the question was. I'm going to pretend I don't know what the question was.
So basically what happens in this video is they are at a con, and one of the first questions that comes up is this young girl, and she's like, "Hi, I'm a big fan of yours," something along those lines. And I just wanted to talk to you about like the bisexual context of some of your scenes, because I am a bisexual, and like Jensen, well, no, first of all, the audience cut her off by booing her, which is the first thing.
And this is 2018, like not that long ago.
Yes, it lit a fire in my chest with anger.
Yes.
And then not only did the audience do that, Jensen went with it. Jensen plays Sam. Nope, Dean. Jensen plays Dean.
Jensen plays,
and was like, "Come on, that's like the first question. Why are we already talking about this?" And he's like, "I don't even remember you asking the question." I'm like, "Yeah, it's because everyone cut her off and didn't let her finish."
Yeah. He said, I don't even remember what the question was. Well, actually I do, but I'm going to pretend I don't.
And then he like murmured something under his breath. I couldn't understand what exactly he said because there were no subtitles, but I'm sure it wasn't friendly by his tone.
Yeah, he also said to her, "Don't ruin it for everyone."
So, oh boy, I watched this video last night.
Even when she heard like all of these people being mean to her, she said she was so nice. She's like, "I don't mean any disrespect." She was being so good about it. She was a young girl. You couldn't see her in the video, but you could tell she was a young girl, probably just as figuring out this whole thing, like many.
And you could kind of tell that she was going to talk about how, like, seeing Destiel, even if it wasn't canon at the time, kind of like encouraged her to come out and come to terms with her own feeling, and that's a very positive takeaway from this. It's not a it didn't even seem like she just wanted to be like, "Are you and Castiel together?" It seemed like she was more of like, "Oh, like, what can you say to your bi audience?" Or like, it seemed more deep, like not just like, "Oh, are you guys gonna have sex on the show or something?" It seemed like a genuine reaction and not a fetishization reaction, because I do understand that there are a lot of people out there, and this I don't quite get, who just really like the idea of putting two characters of the same gender together and then fetishize it, which is odd to me. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
It's like Sam and Dean, who have a lot of stories.
There's a lot of it with
like Thor and Loki in the Avengers. Thor and Loki get shipped a lot online, and it's
not even just a sibling thing, though. It's a celebrity thing I've noticed a lot too, especially I'm in the K-pop community. So there is a lot of shipping going on between real people, and that's not really cool because like they could be gay or they could be in a relationship, but if they don't want to tell us, then that's not their business to tell us. So I can understand where asking a question like that sometimes can cross a line for people, but the way that she the way that she asked the question and her intents from the question were not harmful.
I will link the video. I'll also link Sarah Z's channel and the video that I'm referencing.
Cool. So everything will be linked in the comment section. Not the comment section, the description box below.
It was very problematic. So you can't excuse a lot of the behavior in that clip, but people did think that when he said "don't ruin it to everyone," that he was talking to the audience booing.
No.
But that doesn't take away what he said previously. Also, he was looking at he was not looking at when he said that. So that caused a lot of controversy, and that's, if you're a really big Supernatural fan, then you probably knew this already, but I didn't know this until like a week ago. I didn't know that this happened.
I didn't know either. That's why I got so angry.
Yeah, and I just want to preface, again, Misha Collins is so for it, but not even it. He's so for gay rights and speaks on it so frequently. He should be.
I think there's a difference between, because it's okay if you don't agree with a ship in your show. Like if you're an actor and someone ships your character with another person's character and they're not going to become canon, like, that's okay. You don't have to agree with it, but don't, like, shut people down, you know?
Yeah, don't be disrespectful to young, vulnerable women.
Like, they're supporting you, you know?
Yeah, they like, she probably paid hundreds of dollars to be there. Okay, so back to this finale. So, I'm going to be talking about, like, the last 3 or 4 episodes of this, because I believe it was season 15, obviously, episode 18 or 19, Castiel confessed his love for Dean. So, a backstory on this. Dean and Cass raised Jack, who is the son of Lucifer.
They raised a kid together?
They did raise a kid together, yes.
Okay. When did this happen?
This has been happening for a few
And
seasons.
Jensen Ackles was like, why would you think we're gay? This isn't Full House, Jensen.
Yeah, like, you know, Sam raises him a little bit too, but he's much closer to Dean. Sorry, my dog is going absolutely crazy under the covers right now. Yeah, so they raised the son of Lucifer together, Jack, who ends up almost dying, and Castiel, who is the main father figure for this kid, because Jack is also an angel. Well, Jack was dying. Cass made a deal to go to the Empty, which is the mega hell.
Super hell?
Reference. Super hell, yes.
Okay.
So they do describe it as the Empty being worse than hell because it's nothingness. So it's where demons and angels go after they die.
Got it.
So it's just nothing. You're just floating around waiting for something to happen for hundreds and thousands of years. Castiel made a deal that to save Jack, he will go to the emptiness, or the Empty. So very sweet. But then the person that was, like, officiating this deal or whatever said, I'll take that deal, but you're depressed right now. You're miserable right now. So you'd be glad to go to the Empty. So I'm going to wait until you find your true happiness. And then I'm going to take you.
Rude. Okay.
In the moment where he confesses his love to Dean, they're going to be attacked by some sort of demon or whatever. And Castiel is like, I know how to make it so the demon dies and doesn't kill us. And that's if the Empty takes the demon too. So he was like, okay, it's my moment. I need to find true happiness. I need to say this. So Cass takes about 5 minutes to confess his love for Dean, and it's clearly romantic. It is not anything that can be interpreted differently. It's clearly romantic, but at the same time, if there are any, like, homophobes or just people who don't want the ship to happen, they can have some sort of denial that maybe it was just friendship, but
it's romantic. It's not, let's be real.
It's like, you know, it's romantic. He says, I love you, and then he smiles and cries, and then he gets swallowed into the Empty. That's the controversy. Right when they kill off all their gay characters. I can only name 2 gay characters that I ever met in the series, and that is Castiel and Charlie, and they are both dead. So 100% of the gay people in Supernatural died.
Charlie Swan?
Not Charlie Swan. Yes, people are mad because they killed off 100% of their gay people in the show. And Castiel was a very big person, and he just was gone like that. So, any thoughts about that, Megan?
Yeah, so this is more common than I think most people would believe. I don't know if you know about the kill your gays kind of trope. So there's a lot of media out there where characters will come out as gay and maybe be gay for like an episode or 2 and then get killed off as like a dramatic beat or just as like a disposable thing. So if I'm going for the disposable thing example, there is the opening scene in It Chapter 2 and I think the book of It, where there's a gay, like a male gay couple, and they get jumped by, I think it's a bunch of kids. I didn't see the movie. I just watch a lot of movie reviews. And then one of them, I think, gets thrown in the river, and when the other one goes to fetch their partner, I think it kills him. And that's the opening scene in the movie. For a I think it's your like the kill or bury your gays or something. I recently watched a show, and this is not the worst example of it, but I think it's the most personal example I have of it that I've seen recently, called The Haunting of Bly Manor. Spoilers ahead. This one is a spoiler. So the main character of this show is gay. Her big story revolves around her being gay and running away from a relationship she had with her best friend in the past, who she was supposed to marry, who was a guy, but then she was like, I can't do this, I'm gay. And he dies in result of that, so she had a lot of guilt related to that. But then she found a girlfriend, and they're lovely together. Oh my god. And they get to be together for about, I think, like 5 or so years. They don't really get together until the last 3 or 4 episodes of the season, I think. And then Danny has to take the evil spirit inside of her. And because she does that, she has kind of like a time limit on how long she has left to live. And that turns out to be like 5 years. So the last episode of the season, which is a really good episode, is their life leading up to that moment where she has to die. And it's like a bummer, but I can understand why they did that in the story. It's just one of those things where it's like, god damn it, we had one like nice, realistic, supportive lesbian couple and one of them got killed off. So it just happens a lot, and it's a bummer because I just want them to be happy.
I feel like it's hard for probably a bunch of straight writers.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen Riverdale?
That show is messed up in so many ways. Oh, by the way, somebody who made, I might be getting this a little bit wrong, but the premise of it is right. Somebody who made, like, fan fiction for Destiel got one of her books, like, published. Or fan
right, like
published,
50 Shades
and then
of Grey.
And then ended up being a writer for Riverdale.
No way.
And she wrote the famous line in episode 10 where Jughead was like, I'm different. I don't know if
I'm a freak.
I'm different.
Or something
I'm
like
weird.
that.
I'm a freak. Yeah. So
weirdo. It's
that's
weirdo.
Kind
Sorry.
Of a weird crossover. I'm a weirdo. Yeah, that was a funny crossover.
What a full circle analysis we just did right there. Wow.
I know. Yeah. Okay, so episodes past, they mention like once or twice, oh, I miss Cass. Which is so underwhelming because Cass has gone away many times, just like both of the boys have. Like, to heaven, to hell, whatever. And they've missed him much more, but they know this one is pretty much permanent. They never mention the love confession again. In the last episode, Dean dies. And it's permanent. He dies. So it's very weird. The episode happens and it's back to like fighting like the crime of the episode, or like the supernatural evil of the episode, and it's vampires. And the vampires are wearing very weird masks, and I understand it's COVID times because a little extra thing that matters. They filmed all of the last season, but then when COVID restrictions came down, they had to wait a few months to film the last 2 episodes of the series. So there was a big disconnect between the last 2 episodes and the rest of the season. So because of COVID, the vampires were wearing weird masks. And, like, I understand, but they, you need to work around COVID. Like, tell us why they're wearing weird masks, please. Or just wait to film the goddamn episode, but I'll get into that later. So Dean dies, not in any way we thought he would die, but in a way we always thought he would die. He defeats the villain, and then stumbles into a large nail in the wall and dies. Okay. Very underwhelming for somebody who has died many times, for somebody who's gotten shot in many times.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say something like, he loves his car, so he blew up and exploded his car in the vampire pit.
Nope. He bumped into a nail in the wall. So, very underwhelming. There was about a 5-minute moment where Dean and Sam are like, Dean's like, don't drag me out. I'm gone. I'm done. And they cry. Dean dies, gets burned, goes to heaven. So another little thing, Jack, who Dean and
the child,
Lucifer's son, he became God. This is like the
The
weirdest universe ever.
fuck?
He
Okay.
became God. Yes. So he became God. That was like the whole premise of the season, really. So he meets one of his old friends, Bobby, in heaven. And basically they talk for a second, like, this is real. Like, this isn't a memory, which is something that happens a lot in the whole series. Like, they think they're going to heaven, but it's really just a memory, or weird things like that. So they confirm it's real. This is heaven. This is the heaven you deserve. And then Bobby says, your boy made it good, the way that heaven ought to be. And said Jack,
Yeah.
like God. So Jack is a good God. And then, and this is based on obviously Christian theology. And then he also said Cass helped him make it good, insinuating that Cass was
Oh, cool.
But then they don't mention that at all again.
Okay. Is that it? Are you serious?
And then, well, yep. And then Dean drives. Dean doesn't go, where's Cass? Where's my mom? Where's anybody? He just goes in his car and drives. That's his peaceful state. And then it shows Sam grows up, becomes old, marries somebody, has a kid, and names the kid Dean, who becomes a hunter because he has a hunter tattoo on him. And he dies, Sam dies, and then they have a reunion in heaven where it's just Dean that sees him. And they reunite. They did say we couldn't have a lot of people in the last 2 episodes because of COVID restrictions. So that's why they planned for their parents to be in it, which is something I thought was weird that their parents weren't in it. But then I was like, okay,
Yeah.
COVID. Yeah. They insinuated that Castiel, Misha Collins, wasn't there because of COVID either. But people freaking found out Castiel was on, or Misha Collins was on the set the last 2 recordings in Canada on set, but wasn't in the episode.
I'm not surprised about that.
Very odd, very disappointing. And my thing is, they could have literally just added Cass for when Sam comes into heaven. They could have just added Cass in with Dean, and Cass and Dean both meet him, because that would mean that it insinuates Cass is okay. He's not the empty still. It also it can insinuate to some people, it can detect like, oh, they're together. Or, oh, they're not together. It doesn't matter. But it insinuates
the takeaway is that they've had a talk and they're okay.
And that you get that one last moment with the third one. So, very weird. Do you have any thoughts about that?
So before I knew all of that, I think the biggest takeaway I took from the situation, other than that Putin could finally rest easy, is that this was a big middle finger from the writers to the fandom.
Yes, it was.
So they were like,
Absolutely.
fine, you can have a gay character, but we're immediately going to send him to the worst place he can go, even though he is a main character, just to spite you.
And then you will never see him for the last 3 episodes, even though you love him very
And then,
much.
I don't know, it just felt like the whole way Dean died, I didn't know how he died. Just is very underwhelming, you're right. Like, there's no catharsis with it. You're just kind of like, oh, that's kind of lame. Like, he could have lived.
Yeah.
It's a nail.
I don't hate the finale. And that sounds really weird because I just talked 40 minutes about how it was terrible. I don't hate it. It was fine. It was good enough. I feel like, except the queer baiting, it was good enough. If they didn't do the queer baiting, they would have just showed Castiel at the end, reuniting with Sam and Dean.
I don't know
2
if
seconds of that.
I don't know if that's queer baiting in the end, because queer baiting is the, like, letting people believe, or like putting in the minimum amount of effort to be like, yes, gay. But I feel like that is more of like a commercial thing that people do. I feel like Supernatural was queer baiting up until Castiel came out as gay, and then it was just a middle finger to the audience.
I believe that too. Just disappointed. Something that people have been watching for like 15 years. Just sounds like that.
Yeah, I wish I had more to say. I didn't watch much of Supernatural. Or, I think the biggest thing I was mad about was the way the actor reacted. Because I know there are, like, several actors, like you mentioned, Misha Collins was super supportive, and I know a lot of people ship Poe and Finn in the Star Wars series, and I'm pretty sure they're both very accepting of it. I know that Oscar Isaac is super upset, or not obsessed with it, but he wanted it to happen. What I know about John Boyega is, and he's the actor who played Finn, is that he is super supportive of Black Lives Matter and like human rights and that stuff. So they're both very good people. I'm not saying like, well, this one is super supportive of gay rights, but I'm not sure about the other one. Like, no, they're both cool people. Love them both. Like, they are a good example of how to interact with fan culture.
I heard somewhere that Jared, who plays Sam, you know, he's not in the ship. I heard that he was against it as well, but I don't have any proof of that, and I didn't look into that either, so I can't really say anything. I do have three weird things that I found at the finale, though, that are totally not angry. Like, it doesn't make me angry.
Okay, lay it on me.
They're very quick. Okay. So they played "Carry On My Wayward Son." I don't know if you know, but
they end every season with "Carry On My Wayward Son."
Yep. So they played it like 4 times. Like for the last 15 minutes, it was just that song in like the most weird ways. Like, and it wasn't just the main like singer singing it. They had this weird indie techno version of "Carry On My Wayward Son." Indie and alternative, but then there'd be like a techno beat drop. And Sam dies during that song. And it's like so weird. So it's like Sam's old and dying. So they take like, and while that song is playing, they take it very literally. So like every single time they have like "Don't You Cry No More," it'd be like one of them stopped crying. They took every lyric of it very literally.
They're running out of things to write.
And I think they thought the fans would love that, but none of the fans liked that. We were like, no, that makes it so much less significant. Just put it at the end. Sam has a child named Dean, and he looks like he's 16, but I think he's like 25 or something is what I'm guessing in that. Like, because, I mean, he had to be old enough for Sam to die of old age. When Sam's child said, "It's okay, you can go now," which is a line that Sam said to Dean. So it was like a little, like, I don't know how he knew exactly the same thing that Sam said to Dean when it was whatever. But when Sam holds his son Dean's hand and fades off and dies, and then it shows like the back of them, like it zooms out and you could see the back of them sitting there, and Dean, the child, right when he dies, like Sam, his dad, dies and he's holding his hand, he like looks around like he's just like, "Are we still shooting, guys? Are we still shooting?" It's so weird. It's like, you would think when your dad dies you'd be intensely looking at him, but he literally looks like he didn't know they were filming still, and he was just like waiting for them, and he was just looking around. It was very odd. And also, when Sam and Dean reunite at the end, after like 60 years of not seeing each other, they don't even look
they're pissed
to see each other. They like, Dean's just like, "Hey Sam," or "Hey Sammy," and Sam goes, "Hey Dean," and then they have a quick hug, and then they just look off in the distance, and I'm like, it's been 60 years. You guys got to catch up. Like, you're not gonna cry of happiness. You're not gonna, like, it was very an odd reunite. It was like they were, I mean, in a way it might have been realistic because it seemed like they were awkward around each other. But that's not what you would want the show to convey. You'd want the show to convey that they were just so happy to see each other again. Very weird. Some just weird things that I found in the finale. But it could have been, I think a lot of it had to do with like COVID and stress. And probably they were probably sad because, you know, this thing that they've been doing for 15 years is over now. Yeah. But
very weird things. Do you have any other thoughts, or should we wrap her up? All right. Stay tuned for next week's episode, guys. We're actually going to continue the conversation of queer baiting in a show that we both are watching currently, and we're very excited to talk about.
Why's it always gotta be me that makes a call, huh? It's not like Cash lives in my ass. The dude's busy. Cash, get out of my ass.
I was never in your...